While macOS comes with Ruby installed, it's an outdated version. In order to code and run Ruby, you will want to install a more recent version. My preferred way on macOS and Linux is to use rbenv and Ruby build. In this video, I'll be demonstrating how to set this up on macOS. rbenv is a Ruby version manager. It allows you to install multiple versions of Ruby and switch between them. This makes it easy to test your code against new versions of Ruby as they come out, or to run projects that have different Ruby version requirements. A Ruby build is a tool to install different versions of Ruby. You can use it standalone or as a plugin for rbenv, which is what I'll be doing in this video. The recommended way to install rbenv and Ruby build on macOS is to use Homebrew. If you aren't familiar with it already, Homebrew is a package manager for macOS that makes installing and updating open source packages as easy as using a native package manager on a Linux distribution. To install Homebrew, go to the Homebrew website and copy the command displayed to a terminal window. You'll need sudo access, for which you will need to enter your password. The installer will then indicate what it will install and which directories it will create. I will now press the Enter key to continue. From here on, you'll need to wait for the installer to finish. Depending on your internet connection, this may take a while. I have a fairly fast internet connection, and in my case it took a few minutes. I will now fast forward to where the installer finished. To finalize the Homebrew installation, you need to run a few commands in your terminal. I'll copy and paste them and run them now. Running brew help afterwards shows that Homebrew now works as expected. Now that Homebrew is installed, we can install rbenv and Ruby build in one go with the command brew install rbenv Ruby build. Homebrew is now installing rbenv Ruby build and all the necessary dependencies. Now that the installation is finished, we need to set up rbenv to properly initialize whenever you start a terminal session. Run rbenv init in your terminal window to retrieve the instructions needed to do so. In my case, I needed to add a snippet to my zshrc file. I'm using vim here to do so. If you're not familiar with Vim, you can also use Nano, which has an easier interface. To let these changes take effect, close the terminal window and open a new one. Now let's install Ruby 3.1.2. That's the latest version at the time of this recording. We can do so by running rbenv install 3.1.2 in the terminal. This will take a while, as this will download the required source files and then compile Ruby3. I will again fast forward to where the installation has finished. Now that Ruby 3.1.2 is installed, we can use rbenv to set it as the default Ruby version by entering rbenv global 3.1.2 into the terminal. Now, with Ruby-V, you can see your active Ruby version. If you ran into the issue that I ran into here, where the old Ruby version is still in use despite having set another one, you can run the command rbenv rehash in your terminal to fix this. To demonstrate that switching Ruby versions in the shell does work now, I'll change this shell's Ruby version back to the default version that comes with macOS. As you can see, changing it back to 3.1.2 also works. If you open any new terminal window, you'll see now that it's using Ruby 3.1.2 because it is now the default version. That's it for this video. Check out the description box to find links to the pages of Ruby, Homebrew, rbenv, and Ruby build. See you next time.